3, 2, 1. Okay. What it is? What's up? Welcome back. Welcome back to Cindy's channel, Cindy's vlogs, Cindy's worlds. I'm your lovely host, Cindy, and we've made it to episode 4. That's a round of applause. We are making our way up in the world. You feel me? The ball is rolling, and that's what matters. If you have not noticed, we upgraded our equipment. Shout out to my friend Antonio for giving me the push to use my Canon T3i. I was really intimidated about using it because of all the settings and whatnot, but I was like, you know what? YouTube University, you know what I'm saying? My best friend let me use her mic, so we are here very much equipped, babe. Welcome back to episode 4. And as you can see from the title of this episode, I quit my job. Yes, sir. Freed myself from the chains of the man. I'm going to get very vulnerable in this episode, as if I haven't gotten vulnerable yet, but this one is going to be a little different because I even feel like nervous about talking about it because it's going to be so controversial in a good way. I feel very vulnerable. I feel very exposed. I almost feel naked. Where are my clothes? Nah, but what do they say? Like, if it doesn't scare you, then you're not doing it right. So here we are doing it scared. So let's get right into it, shall we? So I was a buyer's assistant in the food industry. And this was the first time I have ever worked anything food industry related, let alone a buyer's assistant. I actually learned a lot from that job about the food industry, clean products, category management. Like, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that job. Can't take anything away from that. I started in October of last year, and then everything was going well until May of 2025. This is where the cookie started to crumble. They ended up firing one of the buyers. As the buyer's assistant, I was then given the duties of that buyer temporarily until they found somebody else. Now, there was no conversation that was had. There was no smooth transition of power. I was essentially, the workload was just thrown on my desk, and I had to hit the ground running. I was like, you know what? I have an opportunity to prove that I can do this. Did just that. It wasn't an easy adjustment because I was new to it all and I was the only one doing it. And not only was I doing that buyer's job, I was also still a buyer's assistant. I was assisting other buyers. So, as you can imagine, my workload got very overwhelming. Now we're like mid-May and I'm very overwhelmed because my workload is horrendous. And I don't feel like I'm being supported in the ways that I need to be supported. And I was so overwhelmed that I was like, I need a break. I need to get out of here. I didn't even have PTO to spare because I gotten sick a few times early in the year. But I sat my boss down. I was like, listen, if you do not approve my time off, I'm going to walk because this is too much. I'm burnt out. I just need to reset. To the grace of God, my PTO got approved and everybody was happy. You know what I'm saying? I came back refreshed. Not like things got easier, but I did held on a little longer because I knew my performance review was coming. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to hold off, play my role, do it well, do it the best of my ability so that I have some leverage to fall back on once my performance review comes up. Right now we're in June. We're like mid-June. My performance review comes up. And my boss, who is also the head of my department, the buyer's department, he gives me my review. And it was a pretty fair review. I agreed with all the feedback and areas that I needed improvement on. I agreed. Towards the end of the performance review, I was like, I expressed my concern. I was like, listen, I'm doing a buyer's job without a buyer's pay. What's the dealio, sir? Like, and this man goes to tell me, I don't know how much raises are. I don't know how the performance review affects that. I don't know when it goes into effect. A whole bunch of I don't knows is what I was given. But he was like, you know, but if you would like, you can go speak to the president yourself about increasing your pay. And in that moment, I was like, yeah, sir, I can't count on a boss like you. So yeah, in that moment, I just felt like I was being thrown to the wolves when, as my boss, who sits next to me and sees all the work that I'm doing, wouldn't even attempt to advocate for me and what I deserve. I was like, yeah, that was really it for me in a sense where I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So after that moment, I was like, you know what? Bet, sir, say less. So just for some extra context, my boss is not liked at this job. And he is not liked for many reasons. He's a liar. He's not loyal to his team or to anybody he works with. He's real quick to throw somebody under the bus to save his own self. I've heard it and I've seen it firsthand. And I should have seen the red flag. I should have taken note of the red flags when I saw them. And he was already in hot water with upper management. So I knew in that moment that he was not willing to ruffle any feathers for his team. And I just didn't think that was cool. I really didn't appreciate that. I just felt like because he wasn't liked and he didn't have a leg to stand on, I was losing by association. I wasn't under a strong leadership. So I felt like I was not going to excel in that company because of the type of management that I was underneath. That is the clarity that I had came to. So after that meeting, I mentally decided that I was leaving soon. I had mentioned it to my mom because I still live with my mom. So I had to run it by my mom to let her know where my headspace was at because there was a possibility that I was going to be jobless. Through the grace of God, my mom is very supportive of the idea of not being somewhere where you're not happy. So as soon as I got her blessing, I was like, okay, I felt really good about potentially leaving. So I waited out. Now we're at like late June, early July. My boss goes on vacation. While he went on vacation, he forgot to do the paperwork for a delivery that was just made. And I was left to like solve the problem. But I had to drop what I was doing because he dropped the ball. And I was already not on the best terms with him. So like that kind of just broke the camel's back for me. I was just like, there's no way. And like, my resentment was growing so heavy that even though that wasn't a big deal, that just broke the camel's back for me. I was like, what is good with this man? Like, I already have so much to do, and now I have to do your job too. Like, the situation got handled. But afterwards, I went to the bathroom and I had a whole breakdown. I started crying out of pure frustration because I was just so stressed with the workload and then just feeling undervalued and underappreciated. Like, I was like, nah. I just started crying and then I was like, I dead don't need this. I was like, I dead don't need this. Like, I was like, I have my mom's blessing. Like, I don't need to be stressing myself out over people who don't appreciate me and who are undervaluing me. Like, I was like, no. And then that was the day that I decided I was gonna quit. And I told my coworkers that day too. I think I only told like one. I was like, yeah, today's a lie. Because he saw how frustrated I was and overwhelmed that I was. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I already decided. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Yeah, so this was like a Wednesday. I waited till that man got back on Monday. I spoke to HR to let them know what's up. I wrote my resignation email to HR and to the president. And I waited till the end of the day Monday to break the news to him. I told him about himself. I was like, you are a poorly, and respectfully, like, I was just like, listen, like, I've been crying out for help. I've been needing support ever since the transition was made. You didn't even speak to me properly about the transition of power. Yeah, it just fell into my lap. But, you know, to show you guys that I could do it, I did what I had to do, and I did it well, and I'm doing it well. And when I vocalized my concerns, I'm just not being heard. He needs to know how to listen to his people because I vocalized plenty of times that I was frustrated. And it's just like, it just wasn't clocking to him. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, listen, yeah, like, next Friday's my last day. And I caught that man so off guard. I'm pretty sure I offended him because I told him, I was like, bro, nobody likes you here. That's a problem. Like, yes, we don't all work in the same department, but we're all on the same team at the end of the day. We work for the same company. You have to be likable in order to get things done in the best way possible. Like, it's just like we just stood on different morals and principles, so I can't be under somebody like you. And I think he was caught so off guard and he was so offended that the only thing he could tell me was, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's what he said to me. And I would have appreciated like you know, how can we work this out? Because I could see the nervousness in his eyes. Like, this man is trying to poker face me, but I can see him shaking in his boots. The amount of work he's gonna is gonna fall on his plate now once I leave, on top of his duties that he couldn't even get a grasp on. You need me, bruh. You need me. But because his pride and his ego was so big, he couldn't fix his lips to try to fix the problem. That's cool. Not that I expected that, but some humility would have been nice. But, you know. ¿Qué se puede hacer? So this is where the plot thickens, essentially. The president the next day calls me in for a meeting with HR and tells me to explain to her what is going on. I explained to her front to back. I expressed the idea that I'm not getting paid what I'm supposed to be paid and the lack of leadership that I'm under. And then, long story short, she ends the meeting with, will you be open to like other positions available in the company? And I was like, I'll consider it. I was not really interested in working in any other department, but I was like, you know what? I'll consider it. Let's see what you got to offer. You know what I'm saying? So now this is my last week. This is my last work week. Now we're at Monday, right? The president calls me back into her office. She was like, we really don't want to see you go. Would you consider working in the accounting department? Now, I work directly behind accounting. I see the issues that they go through. There is no way that I would consider leaving one problem for another. So I was like, respectfully, I just don't see myself working in the accounting department. She was so persistent that she offered me 4 other positions in 4 other departments. And I had to decline all of them because, again, I knew what all of those came with. But this lady was not taking no for an answer. Okay, she was not taking no for an answer. And she was like, just think about it. And because she was so persistent, I was like, you know what? I'll think about it. And it was nothing I needed to think about. But I was like, you know what? Just to get her off my back, I'll think about it. Now this is Wednesday. Again, this is my last week. Now we're at Wednesday. And then the president calls me back to her office. So I'm thinking she's going to ask me about the positions that she offered me. So I was ready to go in there and like decline. And then when I walk into her office, she's sitting there with the CFO. So I was like, okay, it's a little different. But she was like, listen. So we were talking, and what do you think about being the executive assistant to the director of the warehouse? Because I worked in a warehouse. And I was like, keep talking. I mean, I didn't say that, but I was like, okay, like, what does that give? Like, and I'm not gonna hold you. Executive assistant sounded cute, so I was very much intrigued. He was like, the director of the warehouse doesn't have an assistant, and we want to place you in a position where you will grow and evolve, considering that was your main concerns in your current position. I was like, yeah, like, so they essentially created a position for me to stay. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was like, damn, like, okay. But she was like, listen, we don't have all the details yet. We don't know what that entails. It's something we literally just came up off on the fly. She was like, I know that this week is your last week, but are you willing to give us another week in order for us to like package it and present it for you? So I'm like, you know what? You're going so hard to keep me. Like, sure. Like the guy said, sure. Like, I was like, bet. Say less. So I give him another week. They tell my boss, they tell everybody, because I was about to dip in 2 days, like, you know what I'm saying? So I give them another week, and then I was like, okay, like, when should I expect another conversation? She was like, next Wednesday. I was like, but what I do over the weekend is I start looking up details of what an executive assistant makes, what they do. Like, I'm just doing my due diligence so that when I come into this meeting, I have some knowledge on the topic. You know what I'm saying? So Wednesday comes, and she calls me in. Now, it's the president, the CFO, and the director of the warehouse in this meeting. You know, she hands me a piece of paper. It has like bullet points of what the title entails. And she off rip starts off by telling me that she was like, I know, like I told you, it was an executive assistant position, but we've changed it to like admin slash operations manager, something like that. So now I've been thrown a curveball because that's not what I was told last week. But cook, babe, let me see what you got. Going down this list, you know, it's a long list. It was a little overwhelming looking at it at paper, but it wasn't nothing that I couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? So we're going through all the details. And then she's like, yep, you have any questions? And I'm just like, I'm just asking dumb questions because I just, just to show interest. And then I realized that this meeting is about to wrap up. And no one's talking about the pay. So naturally, I'm like, all right, it's going to have, I'm going to have to address the elephant in the room at this point. So I was like, yo, sis, what's up with the coins? Like, man, like, what's going on here? Like, are we, like, missing the point? Like, are we missing the plot here? Like, what is happening? Like, It's so funny. Every time I tell this story, it's blasphemous because I really like. So she was like, "Oh yeah," it's like, and then with her whole chest, she was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna offer you another dollar on your pay." I'm sorry. And I was looking at her. I had to pause. You know, in those moments where you have to just process what's happening. I was like, I was like, I was like, it's essentially a promotion with more work. And you're telling me you're going to offer me a dollar? I was like, one of the main reasons why I'm resigning is because I'm already underpaid. I'm doing a buyer's job without a buyer's pay. And it's just like, I know that I can do everything on this list and I can do it well. I just want to be compensated properly for it. And then the CFO wants to, give his 2 cents. And then he's like, this is a new position that we're creating. We have to see how you perform first. So let's just give it like 3 months. And then we can revisit this conversation and then go from there about compensation. And then I was like, yeah, I hear you. But it's just like, you wouldn't be offering me this position if I wasn't qualified for it. So whatever it is you're trying to feed me, I'm not eating out. I mean, I didn't say that last part, but I said everything else. After I said that, that man was very much quiet. I was like, is this still open for discussion? Get myself some tea because I was reliving the moments. That was not pleasant. Yeah, I forgot where I was at. Where was I at? Where was I at? I don't remember. Can you remind me where I was at? Oh yeah, the dollar. Like she was like, yeah, this is still open for discussion. Let's touch base tomorrow. I left that meeting so upset. I was livid. Livid. I had smoke coming out of my ears because I was like, there's no way that these people made me stay an extra week, went this hard to find me a new position in this company to offer me a dollar. I was so confused. So confused. Bro, I was so upset. I went to my car and I cried. It's like, and I have to let it out. I have to cry because I was on the verge of crashing out. Like, my coworker was like, listen, like, take the dollar, get the experience so you can slap it on your resume and then just look for something else in the meantime. And even though that sounds like a good idea, but I was so disrespected during that time frame that I was like, I don't want to be here, period. So my coworkers were like, sleep on it. How blasphemous that whole situation was. I couldn't even sleep that night. And then something told me, like, because I was supposed to have a conversation with her the next day. My coworker was like, who's been there for a while. They were like, yo, like, ask for this range of money, like, kind of thing. Essentially negotiating my pay. And then when I got home that and something was like, you don't need to negotiate your pay. If a company cannot see your worth, the 8 months that you've been there, the way you've been bending over backwards for them, if they are not hearing me at my worst, at my lowest, essentially, how am I supposed to expect them to hear me at my best? And I was like, yeah, at this point, I feel like I'm begging, and it's just like, I'm not finna do that. I'm not finna negotiate or fight for something that's rightfully mine. I'm not finna do that. I'm sorry. Call it what you want. I've been here for 8 months. I've earned my stripes. You can ask about me. I do my job and I do it well. I'm not finna defend myself or convince anybody what I'm worth. I know what I'm worth. And it's just like, you know what I'm worth too. That's why you fought for me to stay here. So I made my decision that night and I was like, yeah, it's slow for this place. I'm out of here. And then Thursday came and I went into the HR office and I was like, I wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity. But I'm letting you know first that I am not taking that offer because the compensation is horrendous. She was like, I'm so sorry. We don't want to see you go. Like, if you had to give us a number, what would it be? And this is where these people already made a mess and they were trying to clean it up. The director of the warehouse saw me in the HR office. He felt the vibe. He knew immediately I wasn't gonna take the job. He pulled me aside at some point too, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "It's the pay, sir. You were there. $1? Do I look like $1 extra type of? No, no, no." And then he was like, give me a number, name your price, and I will try to advocate for you. And I was like, it's too late for that because you were there at that table. And why wasn't anything said after I left? If I vocalized, one of my concerns was pay. Why, now that I'm really pulling the plug, now we're trying to scatter to pick up the pieces? No, it's too late. It's too late. I was already disrespected. So now that I felt disrespected, now you want me to name my price. It's not happening. And then they were like, "Oh, but do you have something else lined up?" I was like, "No. I want you to know that I hate this place so much that I am willing to leave without a plan B. That's how much I hate working here. And I want you to know that my self-value and my integrity and my morals cost more than that $1 that you was finna give me. And if I stay here any longer, my resentment is gonna grow. I'm not gonna give you 100%. I'm doing everybody else a service at that point. So it's like, what is the point here? What is the point of staying? Like, it's just something was already broken here. And for me, once something is broken, it's really hard to come back from that. So after I let all of them know, the president was the last one I needed to inform. And I wrote an email that Thursday afternoon, and I was like, "Thank you for the offer, but the pay doesn't work for me. Therefore, I respectfully decline. I'm just letting you know that tomorrow's my last day." And that Friday was my last day. And just know, I walked in that joint like a oof. I looked so good on my last day. I still looked professional, but the body was bodying. My job was so great. Honestly, like, I worked in a warehouse full of men and I was spoiled. I got lunch bought for me. I got presents. I had a man buy me groceries one time. There was one man that always greeted me like a princess. Like, I kid you not, like, hand out, damn near bowed. Like, it was. If there's one thing Dominican men know how to do, is make you feel loved, whether it's sincere or not. And then I had to say my goodbyes on my last day to like every department, and I was just so sad because I genuinely loved everybody that I worked with. Like, outside of my boss, everybody was such a great soul. Everybody had so much potential, so knowledgeable. They were just so great. I loved them. I loved them so much. It made every day feel like a new day, and I was really sad. I was really sad that I had to say my goodbyes, but I felt it in my bones. It was time to let go. It was time to let go, and I needed to listen to myself and stick to my guns. It was funny when the director of the warehouse was like, "Oh, do you have anything lined up?" And then I was like, "No." I was like, "But this is not my first rodeo. Like, I've been in this position before." Like, I think ever since I started getting in tune with my feelings and learning how to listen to myself, I just started a habit of like quitting my jobs as soon as I became unhappy. And I know that sounds crazy, but once I emotionally and mentally like check out, and I don't feel a sense of passion for what I do anymore, I know that that time is coming. My time at that job is ending. If I don't have the capacity to change the program, I just see myself out because I'm not finna stay somewhere where I'm unhappy, babe. That's not happening. And I realized then and then that money doesn't move me in that way where I have to stay somewhere I'm unhappy just because I need money. I am thankful to God that I am in a position to make these type of decisions. Supported not just economically, but emotionally and spiritually. For example, when I left my first job, I used to work at a real estate office as an admin assistant. I was just the only one that worked there, and I was about to make a year, and I was really unhappy. I was really unhappy because I was working alone and I just need a sense of community. Like, I need to speak to people throughout my day and see different faces and like interact with people. I was the only one who worked in the office. So when I became unhappy and I realized that my time was coming, I felt that I was just emotionally checking out. I was just so unhappy that I was prepared to leave without a plan B. That's how unhappy I was. Like, I couldn't keep putting my happiness on pause until I found a backup plan. So I decided to pack it up without having a plan B. And moving forward with that type of decision, I just felt a sense of comfort because I knew that I was going to be okay. Like I knew that I felt it in my bones that I was going to be just fine. I was going to be okay and I was going to be guided and protected. And that's what gave me the confidence to make that decision without having a backup plan. Imagine telling your friends that you're about to quit your job without a backup job. Like I know that sounds crazy. I know that doesn't sound logical. Like I completely get it. Like I also learned how to not let other people's circumstances and feedback like project onto me. Yeah, but I had a sense of faith. I had a sense of faith, and I guess it just goes back to one of those lines in the Bible where it's like don't lean on your own understanding. And that's literally where that kicked in for me during that time where it's like I didn't know how it was gonna happen. I didn't know how I was gonna figure it out. But I knew I was. I knew I was in good hands and I knew I was gonna be taken care of. And I led with faith. And it turned out better than I expected. And during this journey of like quitting my job when it's time, he has taught me that it always gets better. Like it just always gets better. Like the first time I quit my job, the first time around when I worked at the real estate company, the next job I got was a nonprofit job. It was like a hybrid job, mainly remote, but I got to travel a lot to different states because I was the program coordinator to different areas. So I got to travel a lot. I went to Nashville for the first time. I went to Philly for the first time, and I was also working alongside musicians, so I got to meet a lot of musicians. So that was really cool. And then once that didn't work out, I set my intentions and I was like I really want a job that has a sense of community. Like I had it a little bit at the nonprofit, but it was really fickly. Like I wanted a job that I consistently was surrounded by community. And then when I got this buyer's assistant job, it was perfect because I worked in an actual office with other people and I worked with a lot of people with different personalities. So it was the day was never boring. So it did get better. It got better with time because my intention with this job was to kick that habit of like quitting my job and like because I do want a sense of stability, like professionally and financially. Like that is something that I strive for. Don't get me wrong. Like it's funny because me and my friends have this joke where it's like I don't work in the summer. Because I quit around this time last year too, and then now here we are again. So I was trying my best to kick that habit, but I just found myself in that situation again. And if I told you that it doesn't get to me, I would be lying because I'm starting over again professionally. And yes, I've been here before to know that it does get better, but it also gets a little discouraging when you're having a hard time finding a place in the world because I'm into so many things. I have so many intentions, and just to narrow it down to one and then also consider the pay based off of where I live and what type of fulfillment it's going to provide me. Like, it just goes a lot into my decision making when it comes to a job, and I just can't settle for just anything, which is why this period is really frustrating because I just can't settle just to where I can't just collect a check. That's just not in my nature. Like I'm about enjoying what I do while getting paid fairly for what I do. But I just can't mess around and just collect a check just to, like I said, money doesn't move me in that way. Like I'm in a very funky stage in my life. I'm very conflicted on which direction I want to go in because a piece of me wants to jump back into the work field and work somewhere purposeful, maybe like in the nonprofit space. The only thing with the nonprofit space, they're also undervalued and the compensation isn't always that great, but that is an area that I would like to work in. And then like the other half of me wants to just place all bets on myself, if I'm being honest, and like build something for myself. And I'm just torn right in the middle because I've been applying to places and nothing is sticking. And like that's the thing, like my faith goes so strong where like I know God has something amazing planned for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I know whatever he has cooking for me is better than I can ever expect. I'm like also trying to listen to the signs and like is like am I being stalled because I need to build something in the meantime? And I don't know. I really don't know. And I've been trying to use this time to like rest and really like take advantage of me time And I'm trying my best to like be gentle with myself while still trying to parent myself and like, push myself in some direction. Because I'm not going to hold you, like, there's some days that I don't feel like leaving the crib because I'm so in my head about where I'm supposed to go. Like, my ego is like kicking and screaming because it wants to know what's next. I don't know what's next. I have to either create it or consistently pursue it. But it's just like, if I don't know which direction I'm going in, I don't know what to do. So that's really where I'm at. And I think my body took a long time to adjust from working 40 hours a week, being around community, having a routine, to then not having any of those things. Like, I realized really late that I was grieving. So I think that now that my mind and body are in sync, I'm really in my head about it all, kind of thing. One thing that has helped me though during like this period of like stillness and trust has been like understanding my why. And I've always heard that concept of like understanding your why. And it's always something that I've brushed off because it's not something that I've ever been able to resonate with, because like in the back of my mind, I feel like I subconsciously know my why, but I don't just give it that much of an emphasis. So it just never clicked for me until I recently ran a half marathon. Shout outs to me. I'll post that video soon on how that went. But yeah, son, I recently ran a half marathon, right? And I felt some type of way because some of the closest people in my circle did not congratulate me. The next day, I was really conflicted about how I was feeling because I didn't know what it meant. And I'm currently not in therapy. I'm in the process of looking for a new therapist. I don't have anybody professionally to seek help from. You know what I mean? So I went to the next best thing and I chat GPT'd it. I chat GPT'd it. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. And the only reason is because I do not advocate for virtual AI therapy. I do recommend an actual person with actual experience. But desperate times calls for desperate measures. And I needed an answer because I was really tripping. I was like, what does this mean? Like, what does this say about me? That I'm just so like ticked off of the fact that some people just didn't congratulate me. Like, so I chat GPT'd it and I was like, what does this say about me? It just gave me like a list of things to consider. And one of them that I can remember vividly was like, you want to share the things that you care about with the people you love. That's why you're bothered. Another one was like, essentially because you seek external validation. Damn. I was like, at least hold my hand first. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I went down a rabbit hole. And it said to preface, like, it is human nature to seek validation. Like, that is a human nature. So I felt a little better about myself, you know what I'm saying? But then I started going down a rabbit hole and I'm like, is that the reason why I run? I realized in that moment that I use running as a coping mechanism. So I use running to help me feel productive. So I don't feel bad about myself about not being productive. Because being productive makes me feel valued and validated. And then that also took me down another path where I realized that that is why I only run races that provide medals. Because I need something to validate what I just accomplished. You know what I mean? And ChatGPT like broke it down in a way where it's like, you completing the race, you completing that half marathon is the reward in itself. The medal is just a bonus. The applause is just a bonus. The recognition is just a bonus. Like, it just spoke about reframing your perspective. I was like, wow, like, my standpoints come from a very superficial place. And I didn't like that. And honestly, it's subconsciously because I'm in a very vulnerable place in my life where I feel like because I have so much time on my hands, I feel like I have to be doing something. I should feel valued and validated for just existing. I don't need to be doing anything productive to feel deserving, to feel valued or validated. And that was really eye opening for me. And then I started asking myself why about other things. Like, why do I go to the gym? So, like, a side example, like, I remember, like, a few weeks ago talking to my best friend about my belly fat. I was like, yeah, like, I saw myself in a dress, and I had a little chicho sticking out. Chicho is like, a roll, like a belly roll in Spanish. And I felt some type of way about it. And then I was like, damn, like, I really love the way my body looks, but I could really lose some belly fat. And then when I started asking myself the question about the gym and the way I look and whatever, and then I was like, do I really care that I have belly fat? Or do I care because that's not society's standard of beauty? And I had to really ask myself, I don't give a damn. I don't care. I was like, I don't give a damn about my belly fat for real. I really don't. I really don't. It don't make me no less of a baddie. Like, and I was like, no, I obviously don't care about my belly fat because I don't do a damn thing about it. Like, yeah, it's something that I would like to work on, but I'm not eating less or anything like that. I'm not cutting out sugar. I'm not doing nothing I need to do in order to get it done. So that just showed me that I really don't care. Like, my whys are all messed up and my whys are all superficial, and it just made me really evaluate the things that I do in my life and why I do them. With all that to say, like, understanding my why has really resonated during this time in my life. And understanding your why is very important because it helps you understand why you're making the decisions that you're making and recognizing what place they're coming from. Like, I realized that a lot of my decisions were coming from a place of superficiality. Is that a word? Understanding my why has definitely helped me reframe my perspective on certain things, like running. I genuinely do enjoy running and what it has taught me along the way. Understanding that I run because it's healthy is enough for me. Understanding that going to the gym is healthy and will make me stronger and will just allow me to just do certain things more efficiently is enough. I think my thing is, like, I have to start looking at the bigger picture. And as I'm still working on that, I think that's really going to help me figure out which direction I want to go in life. Especially if I'm in this space of the unknown. Understanding who I am to my core and why I do certain things, I think it's going to help me get closer to my purpose. And it's funny because when I wanted to record this video, I had like a vision in mind. I really wanted to record this video once I already kind of had it all together. Like, I wanted to show it in stages as to, like, quitting, going through this phase, recording the roller coaster of emotions that it is, and then finally getting to my end point. Like, that's how I wanted to record it, but I just feel like it wasn't gonna do this phase of my life justice. Just like, it don't get no more raw than this, to be frank. Like, if I'm finna show y'all how good it gets, I need to show you guys where I'm at first before we get to how good it gets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just only fair. It just feels right. And y'all know how I do when it comes to, like, feeling when things are right. And I'm not even gonna hold y'all. Today I had a mental breakdown. I really did. My best friend, like, spoke life into me yesterday about, like, we really have to put ourselves in positions to win, kind of thing. It's hard to do that when you're really sad about where you're at. I want anyone who's out there experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing to know that it does get better. Your faith will carry you in this lifetime to beautiful and amazing things. It's okay. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel out of place. It is okay. And it's going to be okay. And it's going to be better than you can imagine because it's happened to me and it's going to keep happening again. You know what I'm saying? So I pray that God gives you the strength to get through it. Just be patient, be gentle. You don't want anything that's undercooked. You want something that's just right, just for you. And if that requires some patience, babe, good things happen to those who wait. If there's anything else you could take away from this episode, just remain faithful. Just remain faithful. It's going to be okay. It's going to get better. Pray about it. But kind of where I'm at is, like, every day I try to do something different. I try to just move my body, trying to move in alignment, and really just showing up for myself. That's really where I'm at with it all. Thank you. Thank you for being with me to episode 4. More to come for sure. Like, I ask, just please be patient with me. Your girl's going through it, trying to stay afloat, trying to just exist, bro. I'm just trying to exist. And while I'm still trying to encourage. But yes, thank you. I love you and I appreciate you. Till next time. Mwah.